DeVon, it is always so good to see you.
Good to see you too. Always.
And I've said this so many times, I will say it again.
Okay.
This is one of the best movies I have seen in such a long time.
Me too. I mean, it just so happens that I'm in it, but I completely agree. I mean, I've seen the film probably at this time 4 times, and every time I see it, I say, wow. I just take my hat off to John and Brent and the Kingdom Story Company, because this is truly a phenomenal film.
It's so good, and it's so culturally relevant.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask you, what similarities are you seeing between the culture today and the culture that we see in the film? Because they're very similar. There's a lot of hand-wringing about the next generation.
Yes.
And why can we be encouraged that God is going to move regardless of what we're seeing?
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the culture now, similar to the culture in the film, those that are holding on to tradition are being challenged because the youth movement, the young people are saying this is for us, and we want a place, and we want to feel wanted, we want to feel accepted. And I feel that those same desires are present in youth culture now. And sometimes church culture does not embrace youth culture. And I think that when you see that clash, that's where the friction comes. But when you see the church culture embrace the youth culture and give place for the youth to feel wanted, that's when the revolution starts.
Yep.
And I feel like we're in need of that today, where the traditional church that says, oh no, a Christian looks like this and sounds like this and walks like that. No, we're all children of God.
Yeah.
That's what the movie shows. And so my hope and my prayer is that people that see this film are reminded of what the Christian life is all about. And it's all about love and acceptance. And I think this film puts that brilliantly on display.
Now, why should somebody who is struggling with church hurt watch this movie?
Because when you look at church hurt, a lot of it has to do with being in environments where people, may have done something or said something that produced a wound, and then that wound sometimes can create space or division between that individual that got wounded and God. So someone who has hurt and comes to see the film, I think this film can have a lot of healing in it.
Yeah.
Because it reminds all of us what this is about. And when you see the love of Christ portrayed on screen, it's so powerful. It's so transformative. And I believe that anyone who has that kind of wound will be reminded that while the church may have hurt them, Christ is here to save them. And my hope is that wound would be healed through remembering that and then accepting and embracing the love of Christ no matter what does or doesn't happen in the church.
That's so good. Well, and I love that all the characters, their humanity is shown. They're
Yeah.
flawed. These are not perfect
Right.
people we're seeing on the screen. Why was this such a crucial part of the movie?
Because who is perfect? None of us. We're spirit and flesh, right? And we know the challenges of the flesh. And so to do a movie well, a movie that is done well articulates the truth of humanity.
Yeah.
The virtue and the vice, the good and the bad, the faith and the fearful. And this movie does that. It doesn't pull any punches. It shows what was going on. It shows, where Greg was and what he was doing. And then it also shows his need for Christ and his need for love and his need for redemption, his need for salvation. And so if the filmmakers pull punches on Greg's life prior to salvation, when he comes into salvation, it wouldn't resonate.
Yeah.
Because you would have said, oh, well, he didn't go through much before that. But I love that they didn't pull punches.
Right.
They show what was going on. I mean, in a true way. And that, to me, the truth of the portrayal of what was happening is then revealed in the truth of the transformation that we all experience.
Absolutely. Well, and you guys have screened this movie for so many pastors.
Yeah.
I love that. My dad's a pastor.
Oh, wow, okay.
What type of response are you hearing from pastors? Because this doesn't let pastors off the hook. It's challenging them. It's encouraging them.
Yes.
What are you seeing?
I just was participating in a screening for about 200 pastors in Atlanta. And from the beginning to the end, there were claps, there were cries, there were laughs. I did a talk back after the screening with those pastors, and it felt like every pastor in the room was, one, convicted even more to keep moving their ministry forward in a way that embraces everyone. Two, it also, validated the challenge that pastors face. Because when you look at what Chuck Smith goes through in the film, played by Kelsey Grammer, he's trying to appease both groups.
Right.
And as a result, he's being torn apart, as many pastors are.
Yeah.
Many pastors are trying to say, okay, well, I'm trying to hold on to the faithful, who, give a tithe and offering that keep the lights on.
Right.
But I'm also trying to make sure that the young people feel embraced, and sometimes the pastors get torn as a result of that.
Yeah.
And so when pastors see the film, they feel validated, they feel heard, they feel seen, and I think they're also reminded, always choose love. Always choose acceptance. Always choose Jesus. And at the end of the day, everything will work out the way it's supposed to.